It's recording.
Faster, quicker, faster, quicker. So
Hi everybody, I'm here at Seton Lockhart Clinic and I'm interviewing the doctor that I used to work for at Pediatrics, which I still do work for, but not as often. And we're just going to ask him some questions about understanding ADHD. And so, Dr. Needham, I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Hi, David Needham. I'm a pediatrician. Been working in pediatrics for about 25 years.
Okay.
Currently work here at Seton Lockhart.
Okay, so we want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you enter a room, an exam room, and you see a child, and I wanted to ask you, how do you determine if a child has ADHD? What steps do you take?
Well, typically it's the, excuse me, the teachers who ask the parent to bring the child in rather than the parent doing the initial steps. And what I do is ask them to fill out a questionnaire that's been validated as being useful in determining if a child has some sort of mental disorder, including ADHD, but it also looks for depression and conduct problems and such other diagnoses like that. And so the parent will, usually the parent and the teachers will fill out that information and send it to me, and I'll look it over and make the appointment, and then I'll see the child and we'll sort of ask mom some more questions about just to get a better idea that the questionnaires are indicative of what's going on with the child.
So you don't automatically say, oh, this child has ADHD, and you just give medicines?
Hardly ever. I mean, I never give medicines without, doing the follow-up. And interestingly, a lot of kids who have ADHD are very calm in the office. And so it's really difficult to diagnose a kid just in the office as having it.
Okay. Do you know if there's any classic symptoms that show you that they have ADHD, or do you just...
Well, excuse me again. ADHD is a disease that we don't really understand much, but basically the brain can't turn itself off, and it's constantly going, and it's not something that a child can turn on and off. And that's really important, because if a child, and that's why it's also important to get the information from both the parent and the teacher, is if the child is just a perfect person at home and he's really not doing well at school, it's probably not ADHD. It's probably something else, like a learning disorder, or not being able to read and is acting out because he doesn't know what he's doing, but what he's learning because of the he can't read.
Okay. And let's say you do diagnose a child and he's on medications. How often do they have to stay on it for life, or is it something that they just take just during school year?
Well, that's a good question. It used to be that most of us thought that kids sort of outgrew that diagnosis, but it turns out that probably the vast majority of kids who have ADHD grow up to have ADHD.
Okay.
What happens is those adults choose a profession that doesn't require a lot of focus. So a child or an adult with ADHD probably wouldn't be an accountant or a piano player.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, that's pretty much the questions we wanted to ask. I
Okay.
appreciate your time.
Sure.
And I'm sure the class does too.
All
Have
right.
a good day.
Thanks.
Yay.